welcome, Tony, to our member spotlight, which is an adjunct of building your business. How are you today?
Great, Rob. Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be
I,
on
uh,
here.
I'm sitting here trying to remember when was the first time we met? I know it was an intro class.
I think it was the intro class in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's right.
About
That's
two and
right.
a half
Uh,
years ago,
what?
maybe.
Yeah, 20 had to be 22.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so 3 years almost.
Yeah, June, July of 22. Yeah, I know you've progressed a long way. You're doing a bang up amount of commercial inspections. Is that
Yeah, I
it?
think we're doing pretty well. We're trying to take it to the next level, man.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of inspectors, they kind of get mired in the mud of, I'm a residential inspector. Here's my focus. What was the biggest change for you?
Well, I mean, I've been a residential inspector for almost 23 years now. And like you said, we met close to 3 years ago now at that intro class. And I've always done commercial property inspections, but I don't think we were doing them the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And thanks to you, and thanks, I know Maggie's very pushing this program. Now we have Lance on board, giving us the tools to do this. So it wasn't an easy transition, let's say, trying to pursue a real commercial inspection versus a home inspector dabbling in commercial inspections.
And you're in the greater New York area.
So in New York.
So you're doing New York, New Jersey, and anywhere that you can touch, correct?
So far on the commercial, yeah, on the residential line, it's strictly New York. We don't touch anything else.
Mm-hmm.
On the commercial line, we've done a few properties in Jersey already, which is great. A few big projects, I think are big. And then Connecticut, we haven't touched into yet. We've gotten a little bit more into upstate or lower, downstate, New York, whatever you want to look at it. So everything within like 2.5 hours so far of us. So we're expanding our reach a bit, which is good, making connections with commercial brokers and purchasers and investors out of state, which is pretty cool. So like I said, in the residential end, we would never even think of touching that stuff.
And trying to maintain dual or triplicate licenses is mind-numbing.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Especially New Jersey is a whole different license and a lot more litigation.
Yeah.
Connecticut is different licensing and multiple bridges involved in getting there. It's just not worth it. But for commercial properties, it could be worth it. Yeah, we stretch a little bit.
You mentioned that doing it the right way. Kind of evolve that a little bit. What is the right way?
So I think big differences in approach and into kind of what is being reported in some cases and how we're reporting it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just had a conversation with a very successful inspector down in PA yesterday. He called me. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago. He has a multi-inspector firm. Didn't really do much with commercial. So, I said, listen, why don't you take on the commercial? If you can't do it, call us. I'll help you with it. We'll do it. We'll take care of it all. So we had a conversation. He called me. He's like, hey, I have a 15,000 square foot property. How do I price it? How do I deal with it? And now with the tools that honestly CCPIA has given us, right? I know you're like the front runner with all that, Rob. It was easy for me to explain to him a couple different ways that he could price these jobs and kind of end up at the same place with them, and guide him through that. So what I mean by that is, with a home inspection, we're looking at every single outlet, every single window, every single door. We want details. The buyer, if they don't, oh my God, the one outlet wasn't working. What am I going to do? It's a nightmare. On a commercial property, I may check a few here and there. Just, all right, they're working, they're not. Cool. But, it's just more for show than anything. They really don't, for the most part, care about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on a multifamily building, that's a little more important. But on a warehouse, office space, real commercial, like, they don't care. I don't think about those little details. So you're actually getting through a big property faster than you would think.
Yeah. So you're probably going in 21 or earlier. you were probably checking receptacles, and you were probably deep into the guts of that building, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, here's the ComSop. Here's a point of view that says I don't have to do that, or don't my clients don't want it. So why am I hiding in it?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, Rob, because you get caught up in the little details, and then but commercial is more big picture, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to get caught up in those little details. Initially I'll do a commercial property, like, oh my God, how am I going to get this dead front off this heavy panel with metal?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, there's another cover inside the cover. Now what do I do? Do I really remove this or not? Now it's just like, I'm not touching it. I will take covers off, honestly, in a smaller commercial, like a multifamily building or a small office, or like a mixed use where it's one store. I might take the cover off there. And look at the electric, because it's more of a residential style.
Yep.
But as far as like heavy commercial 3-phase, really not touching the innards of the panel. Not necessary.
I recall looking on your social media a few weeks ago. You had that 32,000 square foot building. You probably whipped that out in a couple hours.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I did. So one of the projects we did in Jersey a few weeks ago was, I think it was 80,000 square feet, like industrial / office building in Jersey. Out of the 80,000, I think we actually inspected 72,000 of it was this tenant that was getting it. And this was on a lease, and they weren't even buying the building. So there's other opportunities more than just purchases with commercial, which is one of the things I love, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
Yep.
So they're leasing it, but it's a long-term lease, and they want to know once they get the property, it's probably like a net, triple net, whatever it is. So they're responsible for a lot. Mm-hmm. So once they take possession, it's all going to be theirs, or it's going to be an uphill battle with the landlord getting it fixed. So 72,000 square feet. I was there for, I think, 4 hours. Yeah. And that was a pretty complex, like it was a lot of open space, but a lot of open space, a lot of units, big roof area to cover. Went up on the roof, walked it, went through all the units. I think it was 8 or 10 AC units and a lot of other junk up there. So it took time just to walk that mass of a property, but the actual inspection wasn't that long. The report probably took me as long.
Yeah,
as the inspection did.
And probably the drive took you a couple hours, or at least an hour.
Yeah, the drive time was about the same as the inspection. Round trip, an hour and 45 minutes there and back. Each way. So, but well worth it. We got paid, so it was okay.
Yeah, I was on a round table earlier, and that was the conversation. There's the biggest difference between residential and commercial, is finally us inspectors. You're over 20 years, we get paid. We're not sitting there competing against somebody that will always do a $75 home inspection.
Yeah.
And so it's finally our I don't want to say comeuppance, but it's finally making this a viable career.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, just the other day, inspection I just did today, residential. I know the agent called me a couple of days ago. He's like, yeah, how much? It's my friend buying it. Oh, the house is, whatever. Okay, here's the price. Oh, can you do it? Let's say it was, for argument's sake, I think I told him like $650 for the inspection. Mm-hmm. Oh, the other guys are doing it for $400. Like, that's nice. I don't work for $400. I won't want to leave my house for $400. I don't want to sound like a snob, but it's not worth my time when I have other people calling me to get on the schedule. Oh, come on, do it for $500. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's take it or leave it. I'm not $400, and I'll be honest, like, we do have that in commercial where people are calling the home inspector or the inexperienced guy and getting things cheaper, or lying about being able to get it cheaper to try to get a lower price. Mm-hmm. So you still have that competition, but you're playing in a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
You're haggling over $100 versus thousands possibly, where we're quoting, let's say 6,000 or 8,000 on a job, and they might say, oh, well, the guy could do it for 1,500. Call the guy. I'm not doing it for that. I know what's involved in this project.
So you run a very unique business, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to have this conversation is there's a lot of members, there's a lot of inspectors that are running around North America, because that's the predominant membership that we have. Whether you're Canadian, we're down in Mexico, or you're here in the United States doing commercial inspections, but you're like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what I don't know. I'm afraid of the size. And so in your business, you actually partnered with another inspection company
Yep.
to form your commercial entity. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So my partner, Dove Herman. So there's there's a few benefits to it and why we decided to go down this road. He's always been after me on the residential end to join forces and do it. And I was always hesitant. He's been in the business probably 28 years. I'm almost 23. We know each other a long time. We collaborate and help each other out on things, but I never wanted to part ways with my residential business that I worked very hard to build, and he did. And we have different approaches on the residential side, I think, and a little different pricing structure, how we go about an inspection. So I don't think that really meshed well. But commercial for both of us, we felt was a clean slate, number one, in how we're doing the inspection. So we're working on actually getting Scribeware up and running now. So we're both on different software platforms. We decided on Scribeware. We're going to try to make that work. I know Dylan's really good. He's trying to put some neat little tricks into Scribeware. So hopefully that works out. So we could have a shared reporting system, shared company. One of the other unique things is, even though we're in the same market, we're both in the city. We both cover Long Island. He's more into Brooklyn than I am. We both cover Manhattan. I go a little more Long Island and Bronx and Westchester. But we're unique in that I have a little more, I'm Greek. So I have a lot of Greek and Italian and mixed bag clientele, and he's Jewish. So he has that clientele that's a little hard for me to break into. And I have clientele that's hard for him to break into. So between the two of us and the years that we have behind us, I think it's a great mesh. So he'll bring in some projects that I'm like, wow, like, where did you get that giant building from? And then I'll come up with, he's like, where'd you get that one from? So we all different types of investors and brokers and bankers that we've dealt with over the years. So bringing all that together under one roof, I think, is great. Gives us a lot more strength. We're doing a big event actually this month in 2 weeks in Staten Island. So that should be pretty cool. I think there's going to be about, 600 or 700 attendees.
Wow.
So we'll be rolling that out. So that should be interesting. We're going to give it a try. And it's predominantly...
As you two having a collaborator or to bounce ideas or what is this? So you don't feel like you're so much alone.
100%. And we've always done that. Like on the residential side, let's say we're going through a slowdown. Like, hey, is your phone ringing? Because mine's dead. And I don't know. No, it's me too. I was going to call you and I was worried about the same thing. All right, great. And then, hey, I want to run this by you. I had a client say this or this happened, or how should I handle this situation? Even though we're both experienced veteran inspectors, situations come up and you're not sure how to handle it. And honestly, like after years of doing something, like, hey, wait, sometimes you question yourself. Am I really doing it the right way? I need to bounce this off somebody. Yeah. So when it came to commercial, I think it's a no-brainer because we're both kind of new at doing it this way. So as an example, Rob, like I've always done commercial. Like I never paid as much attention to fire safety systems, fire doors, accessibility in bathrooms. Like restrooms, excuse me, right? There's one thing right there. It's not a bathroom anymore. It's a restroom, right? So now it's all new verbiage. So it's a restroom, but wait, now I'm in a multifamily, so it's a bathroom again. In a building, it's a restroom, right? So bouncing ideas like that off each other and trying to figure out how we're going to approach certain situations and what are we going to offer as far as services. I think it's invaluable to have that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about highly sought after professionals, and you think of medical, you think of legal, and now we should start thinking about, and you think of engineering with large engineering practices. Now I think we should think about commercial inspection practices of taking a myriad of professionals and meshing them all together and creating a new entity that we can all thrive on. And you don't have to go out and look for specialty consultants. So you don't have to go out and look for somebody to help you with your load because you've got a valued, trusted professional next to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to be said for that. And so between having Dove and partner, he's actually just brought his son-in-law into the business. I don't know if you spoke to him at all, but So we're getting him trained up on home inspections, which will help us on the residential side to focus more on commercial, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just fantastic having that person to lean on and grow and be able to do different things and have another sounding board,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. And I think it's fantastic. And then beyond that, everything that CCPIA has come forward with and offered us, I wouldn't even think of some of these things. And the videos that you guys have now, it's great.
Well, thank
And
you.
like I would never be able to do or advance as quickly as we have in a short amount of time if we didn't have CCPA as a resource behind us.
So I know one of the resources you want to talk about is one of the newest ventures that you've moved into this year is environmental ESA and being the field observer for phase ones.
Right.
And that's been a big focus on some of your growth strategies for this year and moving forward. How's that worked out for you?
It's worked out well. It's a really weird space. So I thought I knew what a phase one was, and I had a good idea, but I didn't really know what was involved in the inner workings of it and how everything gets done. So now we've figured a lot of that out, like what actually goes into it, which I think is important to know, especially if you're going to market it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually already done one presentation on it in a residential office, but I wanted to try it out. So it actually worked over pretty well because I figured there's a value in information, even for a residential realtor, to know kind of what is involved as someone mentions a phase one, ESA.
Yeah.
So initial thought was we're going to do inspections and have it as an add-on. And then we said, wait a minute, why can't we just promote the phase ones? So we actually created a whole separate website, a whole separate logo, an ad campaign for phase one ESAs. And we've tied it back into the commercial inspections. So we weren't really sure what was going to feed what.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they kind of go back and forth. So we'll get calls for phase one ESA, and then we'll try to sell them on a whole commercial inspection, and that works. And then the other way, we're doing a commercial. Oh, have you done a phase one ESA? Do you know? Oh, I don't even know what that is. Well, your lender is probably going to request that.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do it at the same time, we could save you $400 or whatever the case. Like,
yeah,
we can make it happen. We're already on site. It's just a matter of a few more pictures. We're kind of looking for the same thing. A little more involved, but all right, maybe it adds another, let's say it may add an hour to the job.
Yeah.
We're already there. There's no travel time.
Well, especially when, and I think about those inspectors that might do WDO inspections or they might do mold sampling. Well, you're beyond the site. You're looking and you go, and oh, by the way, I see this. Would you like me to sample it? If you're at that 80,000 square foot industrial site and you look in the corner and go, this is a thing.
Right.
Well, I am sure when I take these photos and put them on my report, your lender might say something. How about if we do it now?
Right. Like, hey, look, I think we got a buried oil tank. I think they spilled some chemicals. They got, barrels of this or that around the property. Might not be a bad idea to have this environmental report done so you know what it is, and reducing liability for yourself in the future going forward if it's a purchase. Now the liability just shifted. I did what I needed to do as a buyer. I had my environmental report. Everything's clean. It's on these guys. I don't know what they found or didn't find, but the history says the property's clean.
Now, for those watching this that don't know what we're talking about, in order for you to do this, you can't do this alone. You partnered with an engineering firm, and this is not a plug for the engineering firm, so we don't want to go into that. But in order for a commercial property inspector to do this, you partnered with an engineering firm, correct?
Yes, you need to partner with someone. So the understanding that I have is they need at least 10 years experience in that environmental engineering space, let's call it, right?
Yep.
So they need to have experience. They need to be qualified. Not everybody can do this. There's a lot of liability involved. It needs to be done properly. And the lenders are also have certain standards depending on what kind of loan program. So it's got to be to ASTM standard. And some of it has to be, an SBA loan, which is a business loan. If they're purchasing, let's say, a business with the property, there would need to be SBA approved. So you need to partner with an engineering firm that can meet those qualifications.
Sure.
and you cannot do it yourself completely.
Sure. But the benefit is there's not a single soul that's a better expert at being in the field looking at buildings than us, than you, than Dove on being a commercial property inspector. Not necessarily the engineering firm. So it's a perfect mesh.
I agree. I mean, we're there, we're in the field, we're looking for possible environmental issues anyway as part of our commercial inspection, right? Or even on the residential side, you're still looking for those things. You're reporting on an oil tank if you find one in a house.
Yeah.
We've done it for years as residential inspectors. So
well, it's part of the ComSop when you're doing you're doing life safety, for instance,
right.
section 12 of the ComSop, you're actually looking at storage. And is it kept or is it not kept? And what is it? Is it flammable? Is it not flammable? Is it just heaped on the ground, oozing? That would be something that we're going to comment on anyway.
I mean, we're looking for it. If we can offer a service to the client, a benefit to the client, and we can make some extra money in the meantime, why not do it? We're in business to make money, to help people, right? To provide a service, but we want to make money.
My favorite part is honest money.
Yeah.
It's not, okay, what kind of flim-flam, what kind of smoke and mirror, what kind of Shazam. This is honest money, and that's my favorite.
Yeah, because like in the residential space, there's always the argument about let's say mold testing, right? Some guys just go in, oh my God, mold. We got to test for mold. Mold. I've always been the opinion that, listen, if I walk in the basement and it smells dampy and wet, it's damp, it's musty, yeah, we could do mold testing if you really want to. I know there's mold here already. Why do I need to get another $500-$600 out of you? Why don't we figure out what the issue is? You have to do some exploration. You have to cure the moisture issue and then do some mold testing and see if it's actually cleared.
Yeah.
To me, that's important. There might be cases where you're trying to negotiate, you want to have mold testing done. But a lot of guys, I feel like, in my neighborhood, as an example, in our area, we don't have much radon. But there's guys, I hear it all the time, running around pushing radon tests. It's the chances of high radon on Long Island is 0.002% or something ridiculous. So why would I, in good conscience, sell radon tests for $180 a pop?
I used to do a lot of relocation work. And you think of, you go, why am I doing a radon test on the 19th floor of a high rise in Chicago? It doesn't make any sense to me. But then you get told, well, this relocation company specifies that every residence has to be tested regardless.
Right.
Whatever.
There's certain programs that require things like that. But like you said, I mean, it's the environmental is something that there's a good chance they're going to need from their lender. It releases them from a lot of future liability, gives them a lot of great information on the property. Because in addition to the field work that we're doing to find, let's say, an oil tank or any chemical spills, they're doing a history on the property, fire records, what was there before. It'd be nice to know if I'm buying a Big Lots property that maybe there was a gas station there before for 30 years and there's tanks buried there that we don't know about. I think as a buyer of a multi-million-dollar property, I would want to know that.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
commercial properties are flips too.
Yeah.
Not
they
just
they flip them.
Yeah. Not just residential flips. There are commercial flips as well. And so I think you were at the building. And I know we have a video of on our website of a warehouse inspection, and all of the drywall's been removed from the bottom 6 foot of the building on the interior. And it's because in 2 different ownerships, one, they made batteries that leaked acid, and the second, it was a grow facility that had contamination in the drywall. So, boy, that's a perfect building for a phase 1, if I've ever heard of one. But
yeah, you find all kinds of stuff that it's, and in a phase 1 also is mold and asbestos, and those types of things are issues that will come up in an environmental report. They're not like a main wreck, let's call it, that needs to be addressed right away, but it's something that will come up in environmental, and the lender may request it. They might say, yeah, mold remediation needs to be done, or asbestos needs to be removed or remediated, whatever the case is. So it's good to know.
And I know you found out about this program and stuff at the latest I'll say Internachi convention, but we're going to call it a CCPIA convention because
That's right. We're taking over.
it was so predominantly I guess populated by commercial inspectors, at least in the 6 sessions that we had. We're standing room only. What other things are you doing to separate your commercial business from the others that might be in your marketplace?
So it's interesting. So, I mean, one thing that we noticed was, and feedback we've gotten from some commercial brokers, is that I don't think there's many companies doing commercial inspections and offering the phase ones in-house.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is they're referring it out to some environmental company. They might get a kickback, whatever it is. They're just, some other guy is showing up to do it. They're like, wow, you guys are actually the ones doing the phase one. And this, like, yes. And they surprisingly haven't even asked, is it to ASTM standard? Nobody even knows to ask it, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do, say, no, we're partnered with an engineering firm. And then we have engineers on staff that handle these reports for us. And that's how we do it. It's all to ASTM standard and SBA and blah, blah, blah. But it's in-house. The field work is us. We do it physically while we're doing your property inspection. And I think that's a big selling point. Honestly, that it seems like, at least in our space, no one does that. Or at least no one that we've found yet or heard of.
Good.
So I think that's great. That's one thing we're doing. We're doing a lot based on the websites. So we created 2 different websites, one for the commercial inspection company, and then one for the environmental. And then we'll have a little crossover between the 2. We're working, with, I'll plug them quick, Wolfpack so far. We'll see. So they're doing some work for us on the back end with, I don't know, Dove's handling all that stuff with, like, I think we're doing some AdWords and more like local SEO type stuff. So it seems to be working. We're getting some leads from it. We're booking some of those leads, which is great. Some of them are just shopping, but we're actually getting a lot of those are coming through for us. So it's working out well. I mean, we're like 6 months in and we're averaging about 2 to 3 inspections a week.
Okay.
I think the goal is kind of like short to medium term to be at, like, let's say 6 inspections a week between commercial and the environmentals, which I think is a pretty good number based on what, kind of what we're getting on the jobs. I think that's actually pretty good volume.
Your shoppers, are they strictly looking at price? How much it costs and then hanging up, or are they inquiring, talking, and then kind of leaving you hanging?
So I found between obviously our conversations and speaking to Lance a lot on this, you really want to try to get a proposal, a written formal proposal out for commercial, whereas residential is more on the fly.
Yeah.
Some of them I've noticed, like, they just want it on the fly. They want something. Mm-hmm. And if it's a smaller property, like say a 5,000 square foot warehouse or garage, yeah, I know how much we're going to be charging. So I'll tell them, look, it's going to be maybe around this much. I want to get you a formal proposal so you could see exactly what we're giving you and not just judge the price. But sometimes we'll do them on the fly. And surprisingly, you would think commercial is more time and laid back, but in New York, it's still pretty quick. Yeah. You want to move, and sometimes they have deadlines, and you still need to move on things. So, we always do a formal proposal, but sometimes it's almost like after the fact, like they just want to see it.
Yep.
Or you could have a situation with 3 partners. The one partner's like, give me a price. And then the other partner says, no, I want a formal proposal. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the other component, Rob, to this is, with residential, I think I touched on a little before, but like it's cut and dry. You're doing a residential inspection, you're either going to, like, Internachi standards or your licensing standards or whatever it is. And this is basically what the inspection is. With commercial, it's not that at all. Yes, we have the ComSop. Yes, we follow it. Or we might drift over to more of like an ASTM standard report. But we can custom tailor it to the client.
Yeah.
Like basically they call, okay, I want to do this. No, but okay, so tell me, what do you want done? Well, it's 30 apartments, but I only want 1 on each floor. And I want the roof and the boiler and the parking lot. And that's it. I don't care about anything else. No problem. Here's the agreement. Here's a proposal. this is excluded. This is exactly what we're doing. And what I do is optional. So I'll have, this is what our inspection proposal is. But also we could end on the phase one for $2,200 or whatever it is, depending on the property. We could also do a cost projection table for you, right? We can do a 10-year cost, or we can just do whatever. And this is this much, 500 more, 400, and I'll put those in as options. And then we give them that option to the client, but we're custom tailoring it to them.
That's been my favorite part of commercial inspections, is every job is so unique and every proposal has its own scope. And so that's why I asked that question, because I always, coming from Chicago, which is mini New York.
Right. Similar market.
In so many attitudes and so many diverse people, that I never let anybody hang up. It's this. We're going to make this real simple. You called me, and this is the last call you're going to make. Right. And so, if my goal was 6 inspections this week, well, good news, you're going to be number 6. Right. I'm not letting you off the hook. And so that's where I asked that question of, are they just kind of glancing by and kind of being aloof, or have they taken up your time? Because the second they take up my time, they're hooked. I'll never let them go.
Yeah, you got to get them on. But we've noticed some price shopper guys where it's like, hey, we're thinking this is a $4,800 project, and like, well, we think it should be $1,500. Like, okay, wait a minute. Yeah. What is your expectation of the inspection? What are you hoping to gain? Oh, we just want this. But usually when they say we just want this, they want a whole lot more. So that's why the written proposal is very important. Right? So you need to nail, like, even if you agree in principle over the phone, like handshake, okay, we're going to do this for this much. I want to put it in writing. Like, hey, you read it. You saw exactly what I'm going to do. Because when I get there, I don't want you to tell me now I have to do 10 more things. Because that's not what we're doing. We're doing whatever you contracted us to do. Yeah, so we had one like that. We're like, hey, you want us to come back and do the rest? We will.
And that's what's separating you as the professional versus the dabbler or the hobbyist. Because you understand the game and you understand the process. And you understand that it's your inspection in your time.
Well, we're learning, and I figured out, like, I see him on the forums. I went to one of my local home inspection meetings last month, which I haven't gone in years. I'm like, let me just go see what's going on, and I'll talk to guys like, well, I charge 30 cents a foot. If they don't like it, it's commercial. That's what I'm going to get. So, well, and I'm like, Mike Crow used to say, I love my competition. Right? On the residential side, I love my competition. You're going to be at 30 cents a foot. You know what? I think looking at that property, I could probably do it at 10 or 15 cents a foot, and I'll have a very nice payday. And I'm still making very good money on my time, because I know what my time is. Yeah. I know what it's worth. I set my worth. I'm not lowering my bar, but you're just being unrealistic because you see the word commercial and you think you should make $30,000 on every inspection. And really, what value are you giving to the client? Yeah. And I think that's where it comes, like, that's where the crossroad is, right? I'm giving you X value. I think I think we're worth this on this project.
Yeah. I laugh because
20 grand.
How much times have changed. In our intro course class, I don't know if you recall, I had a slide up there that said I lost the job at 3 cents.
Right.
But I won it at 2 cents.
Right.
but at 250,000 square foot, that was a $1,500 difference.
Yeah.
And it didn't take me it was still only a half a day's worth of work. So was I going to lose this job over a penny? No.
That's what it comes down to. And I think that, and for us, I'm speaking from years of experience on the residential side that I'm translating into commercial, but we still have a heck of a lot to learn here. And with your guidance, it's helpful, and we have videos. And like I said, I keep beating it, but CCPIA is great for this, because we'd be kind of lost, or at least we would have to dig harder to get the information that we need. It's right there for us. So it's in front, like, hey, I don't remember accessibility with bathrooms. Like, wait a minute, I remember something like, oh, the toilet handles are on the wrong side, or what's the clearance, the height of the toilets, and, things that can make you look like a stupid thing, like take out a tape measure, measure the toilet height. Like, oh no, all these toilets are an inch too high. Like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, look, it's okay. You might get away with it, but if you have an inspection, you're going to have an issue. Like the knowledge base that you guys offer, and we take that into the commercial, and we're growing it, and we're learning, and we're involving the business, and we're trying to meet that goal, and then ultimately, hire commercial inspectors possibly as well that can work when we're not there, and we can handle a lot of the administrative and the juggling of the food sources that we need to.
Well, I've always said, though, I mean, you're a lot younger than I am. I know how old your partner is because we share the same birth date.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Commercial inspections. If I was still in the field, this would have gave me another decade. Easy.
Yeah.
It's easier on your knees. It's easier on your back. It's easier on everything. You're only using this muscle so much. And certainly not all the harder things that you could get hurt on.
I believe that we are more of a consultant than an inspector, especially in commercial over residential. Yes, I'll still get on a roof. I'll still pull out a ladder, depending, like that building in Jersey. I got on the ladder, went up, walked the roof. It was accessible. It was one story and a half. That's fine. But you're not putting yourself, I feel like I'm not putting myself in harm's way as much even than residential. Climbing up on rickety attic ladders, crawling around in attic spaces and crawl spaces. I'm not doing it. If it's commercial as a crawl space, I'll snap a couple pics and yeah, all right. I'm not,
Don't have to.
It's not necessary.
No, that's not what you're here for. So you talked briefly, but really, what are your personal goals that you're stretching out on right now?
So right now we're looking to get to, like I said, like 6 inspections per week, which is a little over 300 a year. I think on the commercial end, between actual commercial property inspections, assessments, and the environmental reports. Right now we're in between that 2 to 3 a week phase after, figure about, I guess about 6 months officially we started rolling out with this. The websites and everything went live about, maybe it's 2 months now, a month and a half, 2 months ago. So really leads only been rolling in, from that. Right now we have lined up, we did the phase 1. I think we're getting the inspection on a car dealership. We did a camp. I did 2, what do they call them? Like not commissaries, for nursing facility, like for nuns. So I did 2 facilities they had. We did the warehouse, did the industrial space. We have a hotel we're doing on Thursday in Manhattan. All kinds of random, like different commercial spaces and buildings and experience between 2 of us that we've done. I did a horse ranch or horse farm, which was pretty cool. We did that big camp. I think Dove spoke to you about that one. That was pretty interesting. It was like 50 something buildings. I actually banged that one out in a day by myself, pretty much.
Wow.
Which was, it's a lot of work. We just got it done, but there were some buildings we weren't able to get access to. And it was a rush kind of deal. A distressed property, the owner is not being very cooperative. So it was kind of a weird situation where it was like, hey, we're going to get done whatever we can in this day. I'll put the report together. If you want us to come back, there's an additional fee. We'll come back. But we got it done, and then we got overall condition, and it was an interesting property.
Every one of them notching your belt. Every one of them is a story. Every one of them is an opportunity that you're going to tell somebody on the phone why you're better than the next phone call they make.
Right. Yeah, and it's opportunities. It's different experiences. Like as home inspectors, you have stories to tell, right? You always say you're selling your story to people, and that's how you're marketing yourself and growing business. Commercial, what I love about is the diversity of the properties, the different things we get to see, the different people that we get to meet. I think it's different. Like we said earlier, there's a lot of flexibility. Everything's not cookie cutter. Every inspection scope is going to be slightly different than the last. Even though you think it's the same type of property, it's different. So you could be doing a purchase. We could be doing a triple net lease inspection. We could be doing, which is, I'll talk about after this, like what we're trying, what space we're trying to try to get into. Could be just a roof inspection for somebody, which I did. I did a roof inspection for someone actually 2 months ago on a building. He bought it. He was under the gun by the lender. And now he called me tomorrow morning. I'm going to do the whole building right after we bought it. So like it's a double dip. Like the roof inspection, I pulled up, I put the drone up in the air. It was literally a 12-minute inspection for $500. Fine. I was there. It was a prior client of mine, so I hooked them up a little bit. But now I'm going to go back and do the full inspection. Not a big, it's 5,500 square feet. Easy, in and out. He's gutting, renovating it anyway, so he just wants to know if there's anything big.
Well, your goals and 6 is not such a stretch when you think about 3 will become 6 very quickly.
I think so.
You know, especially when you're using a good web company helping you grow your business, and the word of mouth, and the events where you've got 600 people going to be there. 3 becomes 6, and 6 becomes 12.
Right, and I say our goals are like 5 to 6 a week is by the end of this year.
Yeah.
So I'm talking short term. That's what our goal is. You know, in the next like 6 months to 9 months, that's where we want to be at. After that, you know, I think, you know, that 10 a week, you know, with multiple guys doing it is ultimately where it's at on the commercial end. And I think it's possible, especially with, you know, the environmental.
Especially in the largest city in North America.
I mean, and there's so like now, and I realize as we started doing more commercial, I'm really realizing when everywhere I drive, I'm like building, warehouse, mixed use, warehouse. They're everywhere. And then it could be Manhattan, where we did 150,000 square foot building. It could be down the block from my house. It's 2,200. I did one. Guy was leasing a restaurant space. Had no idea about anything. 1,600 square feet. He's not even leasing the basement. We looked at the basement for him, looked at the roof, gave him some advice on restaurants because I have some restaurant experience. And he was very thankful, gladly paid us, and we moved on. But it was like you wouldn't think someone is just leasing a space, but they really don't know who to turn to. So I think we're filling a void in the marketplace where, engineers are not doing really this kind of white glove work, right? I think they're more specific into structure and whatever they're doing. And home inspectors, I think, don't know really how to handle some of these situations coming from a home inspector's eye.
You're right. And I think the engineers up in that portfolio space.
Right.
And they're the ones being subcontracted by those large Fortune 100 property owners that have 7.5 billion square foot under roof.
Right.
And here we are, and we're working in a very wide breadth of buildings, but we're still that little hidden secret that every job you do helps somebody, you know, and you might not think it, or that person in Tulsa isn't thinking about, I do a great inspection in Tulsa. Somebody in New York is going to want a commercial property inspection.
Right.
I mean, that's what I tell everybody. We're calling dibs on a brand new industry.
I believe we're scratching the surface with this, with the way, you know, with the approach that we're taking to the commercial inspections, you know, with the ComSop that we have. It's not really, everyone talks about ASTM. I think we're honestly doing a better job than ASTM, really, as far as like our quality of work. Because when I put out reports, I think, and maybe I still have too much home inspector mind, and I'm working on cleaning up the reports a little bit, but I try not to go into so much detail, which I definitely don't do as much as a home inspection report. But I think I put more detail that, like, we put more useful information than an ASTM report. Because I have ASTM reports, and to me, there's not much value to them. It's a table a lot of times where they're listing the devices and the serial numbers or models or whatever. They'll have a cost projection table, right? They'll have some accessibility stuff in there. Other than that, it's really no different than what we're doing. And I think we're actually providing a more detailed service that provides better value to the client than what a lot of ASTM engineers are giving.
And that's how you're going to grow your business. You said it best. It's that white glove approach,
right,
of being a consultant versus a technician.
Yeah, and the engineers, like, they go in and they go boom, 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 like kind of what we're doing. It's kind of the same thing, but I think in detail, I think our details are better. I think our scope is actually better. Because I talk to home inspectors like, oh my God, how do you do an inspection? You're not opening electrical panels, you're not doing this and that. Like, do you think that an engineer doing an ASTM inspection is going to these buildings and opening up panels and disturbing a business that's operating? There's no way they're touching any of that stuff.
They're not even doing the work. They're
No.
bringing in consultants to do each of the subcomponents.
Right.
And that's why they're charging 4, 5, 6x
Right.
what you're charging.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had clients ask, I haven't really had to do any where I couldn't handle everything that we were looking at in that property. I think that the time will come where I've had a client where they were on the fence maybe with the HVAC units, have a tech come out. I called an HVAC company. How much is it? $1,500 a day, 4 techs, however long it takes to do all the units. It might be 2 days, day and a half, whatever it is. So I would tell the client, okay, $1,500. So it's $2,000 a day, probably a day and a half's work. The techs will come out. They'll test the systems. They'll do everything you want to do. And they will give you an exact idea of how the units are working, performance-wise, and what's going on. If you want it, no problem. Here it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Because there's certain buildings, and you know this. I mean, you can see these from images from space. That, like the building we were just in Arkansas, teaching a class last month, it had $1 million chilling unit, and actually it had $1 million cooling tower, and then it had 2 $800,000 chiller units, and 21 air handling units in the building.
Yeah,
and so that's something I can look at, I can stare at, I can look for leaks. And that's what I'm going to tell my clients. But if they want an in-depth, I mean, the operating budget in that building, just the building's operating budget was $12.7 million.
It's big money. Yeah. And the HVAC company, as an example, I had called them on the building we did in Manhattan that was 150,000 square feet, which just closed for 105 million, by the way.
Yeah.
And I don't think our buyers got it. I think someone else beat them out by like 5 million. But anyway, I had two chillers, cooling I had all that stuff. So I called the HVAC company and say, he said, and these are pretty big companies. Like, we don't even touch those.
Yeah.
There are specific companies that deal with cooling towers and chillers. They're the only ones that do it. Just document it, move on, just like anything else. Look at it. It looks old. It looks new. Yeah. If I could find a date on it, that's great. I could tell them how old it is and what to expect in rebuild or replacement costs. And that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, they talked about replacing one. They had 2 cooling towers. They were going to replace the one that does the ice rink, and replacing it was going to cost $3.5 million, but they were going to save $2 million a year by switching over to an ammonia system versus a water system.
Right. Yeah, there's savings to be had.
These are not things that I need to know about, but these are things that I can stare at. So I don't want to take a lot more of your time, but you mentioned that there was something else you wanted to talk about in your business.
Yeah. So an avenue. So like I said, the diversity in commercial is what's great. So one thing that we really want to go after, as we're growing and we're going to start doing some events and getting into commercial brokers and some different things. But I think what we want to go after is existing buildings. We have a lot of cooperative buildings here, right? So they need to do maintenance. They want cost projection. So the one that I did, it was a group of nuns. They had 2 like nursing facilities, and they own them already. One is in great shape. One is a little bit older. They want to decide what they have to do cost-wise going forward in the future. What do they have to invest in these properties? So they hired us. I did a 10-year cost projection table for them. We inspected the properties thoroughly. We did a 2-for-1 deal on them. And, it worked out great. But I want to go after that clientele. We want the people that own properties already. They want to know what it's going to cost them. Excuse me 1 second. Tim being a
well, good news is we can clean that up.
Yeah, it's all good. So that's what we want to go after. Those properties where there's management in place. They don't really know what it's going to cost over 5 or 10 years. What do we need to do to fix it, to maintain it? What upgrades are coming? Another thing, New York City implemented parapet wall inspections are mandatory now. So we can kind of maybe bundle that in with our inspection, our assessment, and a parapet wall inspection so they could stay compliant. And if it's a bigger building we can't do, we could have an engineering firm come in and do that part. It's fine. Pay them whatever they want, another $500 or $600, and they'll do it. But I think going after that is a lot less pressure. So what I realized with that property in particular, with those nurses, the nuns, there was one is a nursing facility for the nuns. It was low pressure. The attorney called, yeah, we need these 2 properties done. Okay. Oh, I realize Easter's coming up. Would you like to wait till after the holiday? Since, yeah, that's a good idea because they're obviously religious, right? It's all nuns. So we did one property one week, the other one the next week. We went, reports, no rush, 4 or 5 days. They don't care.
Yeah.
I think those are great. We got a pretty good number on them. I was fair with them. But we got, what it was worth. And I think
I strongly believe maintenance inspections are, we're in the middle of the next wave is commercial, but the next wave of commercial
is maintenance
in the middle
inspections.
Of it is maintenance inspections, where homeowners will never do a maintenance inspection on their house.
They don't want to pay for
Ever.
it. No.
Nope. It broke, I'll buy a new one. It broke, I'll buy a new one. I don't fix anything.
Right.
You look in your neighborhood, I don't even clean my gutters.
Well, if we're knowledgeable, right? And CCPIA is coming out with all these great topics, and we go to a building, and hey, look, now they have green certifications for buildings and all that. But let's say like that mid-sized building where we're not sure. Like, hey, look, you got these HVAC units. They're really, really old. With the scale and the amount that you're using these units, even if it costs you $250,000 to replace them, you might save that. You might get that back in 2.5 years or 3 years in cost savings. So I think that's where the value is.
I use the dentist analogy. Okay, and work with me here.
I love your analogies, Rob. I can't wait.
I've got a dental practice, and I'm the sole dentist, and I'm in a standalone building. And my standalone building is 1,800 square foot. And in that building, I've got 6 dental chairs. Now I've got 6 hygienists working for me all day long. All they're doing is cleaning teeth for $85 a person.
Right.
Every half hour, there's a new button to seat. I put my thing in there. Away I go. I'm paying everybody. I'm probably making $8 to $20,000 a day in this dental practice. If my furnace breaks and I can't have air conditioning or heat, I can't have somebody in the chair.
Right.
Now, if all of a sudden, now I don't have that revenue, but I still have to pay my people. Because if I don't pay my people, I'm in trouble because they'll leave me. So I didn't have revenue. I'm paying out expenses. And oh, by the way, supply chain, I don't get a new furnace for 6 days. I've just lost $120,000.
Right. So what would this furnace worth?
If brought in Tony or Dove or somebody doing a competence maintenance inspection, because they don't have somebody on staff, we could go to that dentist and say, I just want to let you know that your HVAC unit is 22 years old. I want to let you know that this is going on. And if you take care of this, like you said, fixing or replacing is going to save you money. How about this? It'll save your business.
100%. Time, money, but your equipment in these businesses needs to work. If you're running a restaurant and your walk-in cooler, like we don't really get into the walk-in cooler stuff, but let's say they hired us, said, hey, I want you to look at all these compressor units. Like, how old are they? What do they look like? Okay, we could do that. If I have to bring in an HVAC guy for you, I will. Right? But there's value, because if that cooler goes down and they can't get someone to fix it right away and it's in bad shape, then they lose how much product? 10, 15,000 in product, and they can't run.
Yeah, so I remember the last restaurant I inspected. Oh, it was when I did for the commercial cooking area course. I walked the business owner through his own restaurant. He doesn't know anything about restaurants. He just owns the building and everything. And I said, it's interesting. Do you own or lease or your ice maker? He says, no, I own them. Really? Why? And he says, well, I want to be able to have ice. I said, if you leased it and it breaks on a Friday, your leasing company would have to bring you bags of ice.
Right.
That's in your contract. If you own it, you're going out and running to buy bags of ice. Which one is better?
Right. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. He does very well. He has a good company, and he bought a building and he was going to lease it out. And then people kept coming in and say, "I want to put a laundromat here. I want to put a laundromat." I said, "You know what? I'm just going to build a laundromat." Like, "Oh, you're going to buy or lease all the equipment?" "I'm going to buy it all." Like, "Why do you want to buy it all?" "Oh, I have this guy and he's going to fix everything for me." I'm like, "So if you have 10 machines go down, you're going to rely on one guy to come and fix them for you? Or would you rather just lease them and the leasing company come and they'll just fix the machine? If they can't, they'll replace it." Like, I get the cost of leasing, but it's probably a better write-off. And then you don't have to worry about machines failing. And then in the laundromat, they're going to fail all the time. So I had a conversation with him, but he's like, he feels, because he makes money, he's like, "I'm just going to buy everything. I don't want debt." But sometimes, having that cushion, that blanket where that business is going to keep operating like a well-oiled machine is worth it.
Yeah. 100%.
Right.
So as we're kind of dwindling down here, because I want to be very respectful of your time, we're doing this between the hours of 3 and 4 in the morning. Is what really good piece of advice do you want to give somebody that was in your shoes in 2020 and that thinking about getting into commercial? What's the piece of advice you want to give them?
So what I would say is, Rob, I know a lot of inspectors. I actually have a very good inspector friend of mine. Actually, that property, those 2 properties I was talking about, that was the Nuns, came through another home inspector, good friend of mine, that refuses and is scared to death of doing commercial properties. I said, "What?" I talked him into doing it with me, so he helped out, so at least I could pay him something on it, because I felt bad. I didn't want to just take the job, and he turned it away. But I had to push him to put in the proposal. He's like, "I told the people no." I said, "Get him back on the phone, and we're going to give him a proposal." And within a week of giving the proposal, we actually booked the job. So I guess what I would say is, as a home inspector, maybe you dabble in commercial, but if you really want to do commercial and do it the right way, don't be afraid of it. Just do it. It's just another property. It's another square box with equipment in it. It's the same thing, and you're actually going to be doing a little bit less work. I would highly suggest sign up to CCPIA. At least take the intro course if you can. If you can't, just become a member and do the online courses. Just take whatever information that you can get out of it. Even if you don't want to stay a member, whatever, that's your business, but get that valuable information. I don't see why you wouldn't. For what you guys charge for CCPA is, to me, is peanuts when you can pull down, not every job, but you could pull down jobs with regularity for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 at a clip. A lot of our jobs might be, hovering around $1,000, which is fine. They're easy ones. The restaurant inspection was $900 and something. Helped the guy out a little bit. I was in and out of the place in an hour. The report was fast. So it was 2 hours of work. Better than doing one inspection.
$450 an hour. That's $450 an hour. Where can you do that, honestly?
Right. That's what I mean. But I don't feel bad charging that, because I felt like I gave value to that client. I spent time with them. I explained to them how a restaurant should be structured with certain things they weren't thinking about. So I felt like I brought even extra to the table with that. And like you said before, like, I wasn't letting him get off the hook when he called. So, but don't be afraid of doing commercial. You have a network of inspectors, commercial inspectors, that are willing to help you in CCPIA. Rob and Lance are great. You guys are awesome. I have to honestly, Dove told me, make sure you tell them thank you for what they're giving us, because we wouldn't be where we are at this point in a short time without the tools that you're giving us to succeed. So I would tell anyone looking, definitely join CCPIA, get all the information you can, become a member, go to as many events as you can, and don't feel, afraid to reach out, even if it's on the Facebook group, right? Reach out to the guys like, "Hey, how do I get through this?" And I feel like guys in the commercial space, for the most part, are not as judgmental as guys in the residential inspectors that, have their nose up in the air and been doing it for so long and they know everything. That air of home inspection arrogance, right?
Yeah.
That we all kind of get it a little bit. I tend to more keep my mouth shut, but if someone asks questions, I'll help them in any way that I can, or I'll send them somewhere where I know they can get help. So just jump in, guys.
I want to really thank you because this has been great. This is another episode of Building Your Business, but specifically a member spotlight. So, Tony, thank you for giving me your time
Anytime.
and your knowledge today, because I think this is going to help our members down the line.
I hope so. I hope I was able to bring some value and some valuable information to the table. Rob, anything you guys need, I'm here. And once again, I really appreciate you guys and thank you for growing CCPIA and having this vision and trying to actually get it there. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, and stay safe out there.
Thank you, man. Take care.